Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Wargames Delivered. Well, we've been on the topic of my past a little bit recently. I thought we'd talk about my journey with painting so far, and specifically about the paints that I've used and some of my preferences around them. So when I first started off, the most common paints that I had were craft paints and testers enamels. I used a lot of craft paints, primarily because they were cheap, and I was like 47 cents. That's pretty A+ when you're 9 years old. A couple of the pros with the craft paint, they are cheap, they are very, very heavily pigmented, and they're great for painting terrain. Some of the cons, they don't offer the best coverage, they're super thick, and they're not the easiest to work with. Thinning them out to a right consistency can take some serious time. While we're talking about thinning, I want you to know that each of the miniatures being painted today has been treated exactly the same way. They were all given a zenithal prime. We started with a matte black army painter, and then we did a warm white color over the top of it as a zenithal. I did use each of these paints on a plastic dry palette instead of my usual wet palette, so that each one of them would be treated in exactly the same manner. That being said, once I started moving on from craft paints, I moved into testers enamels, and my God, do those things stink. We're gonna hit that one right on the cons list over here. They smell. Who do they smell? They require a special thinner. You can't just clean them up with water, and they are flammable. They are highly flammable, so I don't recommend using them near an open flame. The pros, though, they are super smooth. They do lay super flat. They are available in both a high gloss option if you're looking for a fresh coat of paint on a model car, so you can get a nice flat, smooth gloss coat on there. There are tons of colors available for testers enamels. Tons of colors. I don't particularly like working with them. If you are going to work with enamel paints, I do recommend you pick yourself up a respirator and probably some eye protection as well. I used those two types of paints until I stopped building. And when I came back into the hobby, they're what I picked up first. My first initial collection is box of testers paints here, and it is a whole drawer of war paints, or craft paints. As you can see, they are various brands, various stages of unusableness. I used those for quite a while until I knew I needed to branch out and get some quality paints. As I started doing my research, I leaned into Army Painter. I found the Army Painter war paint line, and I picked it up. And honestly, it has been really good to me. I like the coverage, I like the consistency, except the yellow, but that's neither here nor there. The dropper bottles are great. I've never really used anything with a dropper bottle before. Craft paints are like a hybrid. They are very medium heavy. The war paints, they do come with extra medium in them to protect them during shipping. So if you don't take care of them right away, you'll end up with an extra thin paint that's not as user-friendly as it could be. There are tons of color options in the Army Painter line, but I don't know what any of them are because I can't really understand the naming conventions. That's neither here nor there. I've kind of figured it out now, but I mean, you know. And they do require, because of that extra medium in there, they do require a lot of shaking. So I highly recommend getting a mixer if you're going to use Army Painter paint. Army Painter then, after I had been working with Army Painter for a little while, they released the Speed Paint 1.0 line. So I had to try them out. I picked up the complete set right off the bat, and I have to say, I really loved it. I loved the way that they work. I loved the built-in, highlights and shadows. I loved the way that the pigmentation worked. I wasn't one of the people that ever had a problem with reactivation in mine. I am typically a one-and-done kind of guy when it comes to paint coats. Well, we'll do the back off. We'll go pros and cons. Pros, great coverage. They work as intended. They build those highlights and shadows for you. They work awesome through an airbrush. Some cons, not that many colors. There weren't very many options in the first set of the Speed Paint 1.0s. They were a little bit messy. They do run quite a bit if you leave it, gravity will do its thing, and it'll pull your paint down. And lastly, the Holy White. That was my biggest con from the whole thing, until I figured out how to use it. Now, granted, that is a joke because I now love the Holy White. It is fabulous for highlighting things that are undercoated in white, stormtroopers, winter vehicles, things like that. Once I discovered the use case for all white, it was no longer a con. And that's really where I'm at right now with painting. I'm patiently waiting for my set of Speed Paint 2.0s to arrive. I've got them on order. Really excited to check those out. And just like you guys, I am here waiting for the release of the Warpaint Fanatic line. So we here at Wargames Delivered want to hear about what kind of paints you have been using. So why don't you go ahead and take a trip down to the comments below and let us know your favorite kind of paints. So if we haven't used them, we can check them out. And let's get this conversation going. While you're down there, make sure you check out the links to all of our socials so you can hit us up on all of our platforms. Make sure you follow into our Discord so you can get an option for this week's giveaway. And thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, bye!